Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's a nice Saturday afternoon and I am out in the wild. So I got my 80 series Land Cruiser with me today. I was doing a bunch of garage stuff yesterday, weird stuff. I had a leak, power steering leak. Well, it was going to be a leak on the Lexus. Is a little tiny hose about this big, and I could see a crack developing, and there was some moisture. So replaced that. While I was out there, I went through my adventure vehicles, the Jeep, the 80 series, and the Lexus. And over time, you know, I had put little tool kits together for them, and jump starters, you know, things that you might need when you're out in the wild and something goes haywire. So I wanted to go through and just double check, see what I had. I had redundancies, like a lot of redundancies in this one, and I had not a lot in the Lexus. I think maybe my mindset was, you know, the age, how old this one is compared to the Lexus, and well, it's actually just 10 years difference, right? 97 to an 07. But I don't know, I went through all that, did all that, and while I was going through this, I'm like, man, you know, I drive the 80 a couple times a month, but I went getting out adventuring with it, you know, I was like really fiending for some reason because I just went through everything. So I came up, and it's still hunting season. I double checked after that last video, and it looks like it runs, at least for the rifle part, runs into December. Strange, I've never really noticed it much before. But this year I see a lot of people, and what I see a lot of is, it's not like people necessarily like me that have these, you know, kind of adventure off-roading overland rigs that go out and do that, and then they also hunt. I'm not saying that that's not a thing, but what I see the majority of is truck and trailer. They park way back down closer to the roads to get into these areas, and then they're offloading the side-by-sides, and they're going hunting in their side-by-sides. So that's coming back in here. I only saw one on the one side-by-side, but I saw about 4 trucks about 20 miles back that would be up in this area. And I saw a car, which I always think is weird. Somebody has a car and they drove part way in until before it got like kind of where you might need 4-wheel drive, and it parked there, then must be walking around. But that's what I've seen so far. Now I'm only part way up this mountain, about just a little over 6,000 feet, 6,300 feet right here. You can see the road over here. Kind of goes up and over. And once you crest there, it runs along the ridge line for another 20 miles or so until it gets you to another high point farther down. But if you look in the background here, looking south, a valley going all the way down, big mountains. So last video where I was driving the Jeep, I was in those mountains over there, on top of those that you can see there, the big ones. And then if you look out this way, pretty cool area, right? Just surrounded by mountains, and then where there's valleys, you look out through the valleys and you see another set of huge mountains in the distance. This is a trail I run, I don't know, a couple times a year. I run this trail. It's not the best for like filming, as far as like, because it's just a road, right? It's just a road, and the trees, there's no trees up here. Not really, it's just this scrub. But it's a fun drive, right? It's about well, it depends on what vehicle I'm in. About a 3-hour loop, like, to go around and do it. It's really fun, but oh, it's so quiet. I haven't heard any gunshots. All right, you guys, so thought I'd do something a little different today. I went into my survival pantry where I got like dehydrated meals, MRE, stuff like that. I try something different. I'm always MREs in Mountain House, but this is a backpacker's pantry. I've had a couple years. It says it's good till the end of 2024, which doesn't seem like that long, but Jamaican barbecue rice and chicken. And it also says 15 to 20 minutes. That seems longer than the Mountain Houses. 15 to 20 minutes rehydration, doubles every 5,000 feet of elevation gain. Directions are set for 5,000 feet. Well, we're at 62, so that should be good to go. Jamaican barbecue rice and chicken. That sounds good. It sounds good. So I didn't bring any of the cooking boxes on purpose this time. So that last time that I screwed up and didn't bring my cookware and my like silverware and stuff like that, I worked out of this bag here, which always stays in here. And I found that I only had one. It was a god-awful like shovel of a spoon or spork. So what I do keep in here though is some meals like this. This is kind of if you get stuck, right, out in the middle of nowhere and you weren't anticipating being out there. I've got a spare jacket here. And then in here I've got, this is a Jetboil. The Mighty Mo Jetboil, the bigger one. So I like this one a lot. You can actually cook in it like a pot rather than just heating water. And then I keep some Mountain House meals in here, stroganoff and different things. I've got a little Halsbrook hatchet in here, some hand cleaner, because you got tools for things. If you need to repair something, you're gonna be covered in junk. I just brought some waterless hand cleaner. I always have in here. Paper towels, extra toilet paper, like a emergency bivvy, some fire starting stuff, and a poncho, things like that. Cutting board. Just some of the basics I might need if I was out somewhere. Like I said, I just wanted to go on a day trip. Something happened, like out here in the middle of nowhere, and I needed to stay. It was this stuff I could stay inside. I could at least have food. I always carry a lot of water with me at all times. So that in conjunction, I used to keep water in here. I've actually got a little plastic tray in here that it holds about 6 bottles of water. But I decided that I'm keeping it in these milk crates. And then in this front pouch, which is kind of important for this time of year, I've got beanie, cold weather gloves, some more cold weather gloves, a full-size knife, and some paracord. Just some things that you may or may not need. First aid kit on the side, and then some more fire starting stuff in this little pouch. I have another one of these that sits in the Jeep that's, I think, just a little bit more comprehensive, like building two of these things. When I first made one, you know, I got all the stuff that I wanted, the exact stuff that I wanted. And then doing this, I didn't necessarily want to buy, you know, duplicates of the more expensive stuff. So some of the cheaper stuff is in here. All right, so this meal calls for 2 cups, 480 milliliters, which is 16 ounces. These are 16.9 ounces. I have some marks in here, and that right there is 16 ounces. That means that's 0.9 ounces. Oh, delicious Sprouts water. I like this particular Jetboil. I think it's called the Mini Mo. So it's shorter this way than a normal Jetboil, but it's wider. Like I said, you can actually, if you have canned foods or something, or even like a ramen or something, you can cook it right in this thing, and it works out pretty good. Real-time boiling. Try out my new spork. Titanium long. The reason everyone always gives me grief about the huge sporks that I have, the idea is they can reach all the way down in these bags, and that's a rolling boil already. Not too bad. What was that, less than a minute? You always gotta be very careful with steam. Will burn you faster than anything. Get our stir on here. See how I can reach all the way down in the bag without putting my hand down in there? I see people eat these things with these short little backpacking sporks. I'm like, OMG. Now you can cut the bags, right? But the idea with it is when you're done, maybe you don't eat it all. You can zip it up and throw it in your trash bin without it leaking everywhere. So that's a good plan there. All right, so 20 minutes. That's a while. I don't think it's been 20 minutes, but I'm impatient when it comes to these things. Feels pretty good. So again, this one is Jamaican barbecue rice with chicken. I'm gonna open it up. I can smell spices. The rice needs a little bit more time. Thing is, it's cold up here. I mean, it's still hot, but I don't know how. It tasted a little salty from the get-go there. Rice still needs some more. Think about rice, right? With these types of meals, I think you have to get the timing just right with that. But look at this backdrop. Giant mountain behind me. Does that show up back there? So I got a mountain here. Big mountain all over here. An open valley that way and an open valley that way. 2 giant mountains in the distance. This has this is like a little spur, right, that you pull off the main track that you're driving on. There's a lot of these little spurs. It's just big enough for one vehicle. But it's nice if you get up to a certain spot, elevation, or maybe a viewpoint that you really like, and there's a spurt, you can just pull off and cook up a little meal or just relax, take some pictures. It was funny. I haven't done anything on Instagram for a while, just because I guess I haven't really been doing too much lately. But I took a picture up here. I took a couple pictures of the 80, with the backdrops in different directions. And I took a picture of, obviously, with me in there. And I looked at my phone, and because I'm up at such elevation, I kind of overlook everywhere up here. I have 5G coverage up here. Sometimes people say, well, I don't have service, or I have service, but that service is crap, right? No, it's actually full 4 bars of 5G. So that photo went up quick. So if you guys saw on Instagram on Saturday that I put up a photo, it's from right here, right now. It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's probably some of those kind of off-grid houses, maybe about 15 miles from here. Is probably the closest thing to civilization. Other than that, I'm in the middle of the mountains. I can hear an airplane somewhere up there. I guess these canyons and stuff are cool if you have a little plane to fly, but it's normally the places I go, I don't have any service. And then when you start coming back out, you'll start hearing your phone chirp. But here, for some reason, and what's funny is I do have this bowl kind of behind me, but that direction where there's actually nothing, there's nothing that way till you get to New Mexico. That way, there is civilization. So it may be coming up through this valley where I'm getting service. I'm gonna try this again. I'm not sure that, because the water is pretty much all, there's no soup in there. That's good. Water's pretty much gone, and with this breeze, it's pretty cold up here. So it's not like there's anything to keep rehydrating. So what are these usually, like for 2 people? I would say this is for at least 2 people. It's a lot of rice. The rice could be done a little bit more, but again, that's probably my bad for opening up too soon. It's not terrible as far as the rice goes. There is flavor there. There's flavor, but it's hard to tell if it's like salt flavor or actual spices. %60 sodium. 1,440 milligrams of salt times 2 servings. I think that it's, like I said, it's hard for me to distinguish whether these are Jamaican barbecue flavors or just salt. I guess if you were hiking and you needed salt and stuff, be pretty good. Maybe if I drink a couple gallons of water, it'll offset it. It's not bad. It's not bad. My curiosity in getting these was, when it comes to meals like this, I usually have the Mountain House meals, just because they were everywhere, right? Amazon had them. They were at like the Sportsman's Warehouse, but I think I got these at Sportsman's Warehouse as well. I think maybe when you try and get too fancy with what the meal is, the rehydration process it can taste funny. Like I said, as far as the rice, and I'm not even sure. I guess there's supposed to be chicken in here. When you go too fancy with something, maybe the flavors don't all come back, right? Or they turn out, like I said, to me it tastes like it's just really salty. And I know these meals are, by default, but it's not terrible. It's not my favorite. And I'm not gonna lie on this one. I've had better MREs than this particular one. There is a little bit of spiciness to it, which I like, but the spice doesn't kick in till later. Like much later after the bite. I can just start tasting the spiciness, which is always a good thing. I'll probably not even eat half this though, just because it just feels like it's gonna get me later. Well, that meal was interesting. Not one of my better ones. I guess you come out here to a beautiful place and do some really fun off-roading, and you cook yourself. You set a bar, right? Going kind of backward to a backpacking meal is questionable. Yeah, I mean, I've had some decent ones, and it wasn't terrible, but I do have an aftertaste now. But I think that I'm just not sure. I don't know how I feel about it. I didn't eat very much of it. Let's put it that way. But I didn't get anything to come out and cook with. I really just wanted to get out to an area, a different area that I haven't been in a while, and do some driving. I got a lot more driving I want to do today, because it's only about 1 o'clock now. I kind of came straight up here, found a spot, and reheat a meal. I could have brought some cold pizza from home. I had pizza last night. It was really good. Haven't had pizza in a few weeks, so. But the 80's doing good. The way I set this up is, those are 34-inch tires. So not quite 35s. Most 35s aren't 35. They're like 34.6. Like BFGs, I think, which are super popular for some reason. BFGs are strong tires. I just think the tread pattern is really ugly. These are Toyos on here. The Toyo Open Country AT3s. That's their latest release of the all-terrains. And if you can see the tread, maybe you can. It's just got a little bit more aggressive looking tread pattern. And I've tested these in the Falcons in the snow and in the rain, and they both do really, really good, like really good. Mud tires like I have on the Jeep, oh my God. The rain, forget about it. Like, you get used to driving a certain way. You got to remember what vehicle and what kind of tires you're on. But so I went with 34s on this. And I say 34, these are 285, 75, 17s. What you got to do is go to the manufacturer's site, and they'll have specifications for tires. They have these charts, and you can go through and find like the tire that suits you. What I was looking for wasn't just the overall diameter, but also the width. I didn't want really super wide tires. I mean, I don't know why people have this fascination with these super wide, squared off looking tires on their trucks. I think it's the dumbest looking thing ever. I'm serious. I don't like them at all. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones, they stick way out on the fenders, and they almost look like they're square because how wide the rim is. I think that is the dumbest look. I guess because I'm referencing as those are useless off-road. These trucks have these huge lifts and these really square looking tires that stick way out. They're for the street 100%. They're not for off-road at all. You will destroy things with those. Anyway, rant over. I just think they're really ugly, and for some reason everyone like I see them on YouTube, someone builds a truck, and they're like, oh my God, those wheels and tires are so cool. Like, no, they're not. They're terrible. But it must be, maybe it's like a street thing, I don't know. These are TRD wheels in that gray, and the tire. So I read a lot when I first got this about how you throw 35s on here. This thing is really, really underpowered as it is, right? And you throw 35s on there with the weight of them and the diameter, trying to get them moving, you just make it even more of a pig. So these ones here, they seem like a nice balance between the 33 and 35 inch thing. They're closer to 35s in true diameter, and the tread and everything, they're great on road, they're great off road. And with the lift that I got, the articulation that I get out of this lift on here, it's a 3-inch lift, combination of Delta vehicle system parts and Icon parts. It's really, really good. You never know till you try something, right? Like I said, I've used a lot of King shocks and used some Fox shocks, and they all were pretty darn good, right? I got Kings on the Jeep, and I never used Icons before, but now I have Icons on this, and I also have Icons on the Lexus in the front. I still have Bilsteins on the back, but I do have Icon shocks for the back. I wanted to go with a larger diameter. I still need to work on that, but so far pretty good. We're gonna see. This will be the first winter that I do anything with this. Up to this point, I haven't been able to do any winter off-roading because I've only had this, I had it last winter, but it was, you know, on the ground with the Yokohamas that are now on the 60 series. And I just was off-roading the Lexus through the snow. So I'm gonna take this out with it, see how it does down on power. No traction control on this, so that's another thing to keep in mind, that the other, the newer vehicles have traction control. So I do have lockers for this, haven't put them in yet. I think I've talked about that numerous times, but I'm gonna get loaded up here and head down the trail, do a little bit more off-roading. It's a fun trail. Got a little bit of everything. I think I showed you as I was coming back out of the kind of deserty mountains into that little patch of forested area there. And that trail, it goes up and down inside. It's like a little roller coaster. The only problem is you still got to be careful because there's some camping areas in there, dispersed camping. And from a paved road to that section, it's not that far, and it's kind of semi-maintained. You do have to go through a couple little washes, but it just means that more people are likely to be there, so you don't want to be hauling butt through there, even though, man, it would be super fun. Still got good mountain views here though. Still dropping down out of this section of mountains till I get down to the valley where I can go around the mountains and get home. It was fun to get back out in the 80. I'm really happy with how this thing has turned out thus far. I still have a few things that I want to do to it. Mechanically, it's pretty sound. I do have the front right wheel bearing, I think, is making a little bit of noise, just a little bit, like when I coast. I've got all new parts for the whole front axle. I've got axles, I've got wheel bearings, I've got kingpin bearings, I've got a locker. I want to do it all at once, but yeah, I want to do it all at once. The tough part though is I've got to pull it all apart, take the differential out, and then I want to re-gear it at the same time. I just want to go one gear lower than where I'm at now. Where I'm at now is 411. I want to go to 450, 456 or whatever it is. So that means that even if I get all that done and finish the front, then I've got to rip the rear apart, put that locker in, and put the gears in the back. So that sounds like a a big job. It's gonna take, you know, probably a couple of weekends to do that, or, you know, some of the nights during the week to get that all done. Because it's an all-wheel drive, or not all-wheel drive, it's full-time four-wheel drive system. That means no matter what, you're not supposed to have different gears or different tires, but on this, it won't work at all. If you have the wrong size, say, spare, and you put it on, you can't have different gearing in the front and rear, because when the differential's not locked, it's looking to drive any one of the four wheels. So that's good, but it just means you have to get it all done at once. Two-wheel drive, you just got to replace the rear, right? But two-wheel drive, I was doing that for a long time. I used to get stuck all the time. So even the most rudimentary four-wheel drive system is 100 times better than a two-wheel drive. Two-wheel drive, you just got to drive really, really fast. And that presents a whole nother set of problems. But I'm coming back out here, so that'll probably do it for this one. I just wanted to pass on some views to you guys, show you how nice it looks up in the mountains. Perfect weather for off-roading, and how happy I am when I'm out in my 80 series. It's like, it's a state of mind. It's a slow vehicle, so you're not driving fast anywhere. You're not like in a race to get there, a race to get home. It sets you into kind of a calming state of mind, which I think it's a good thing. So buy a slow vehicle. It'll change your state of mind. All right, you guys, that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next weekend.